Hello, healthcare heroes. Welcome to the new episode of OneMedPro Pulse, your go-to podcast for all things healthcare. We couldn't be more thrilled to have you join us on this journey. This podcast is dedicated to you. We know your work is critical, and our goal is to empower you with the latest industry insights, marketing strategies, and tools to thrive in your practice or organization. Whether you're looking to grow your practice, connect with patients in meaningful ways, or simply stay informed about the latest trends, OneMedPro Pulse is here to inspire, educate, and connect. So, grab your stethoscope or your earbuds, and let's dive into the heartbeat of healthcare innovation.
Welcome back to the OneMedPro Pulse podcast. Today we're taking a deep dive into something that's super relevant, especially in the Indian healthcare world. Counteroffers. We're going to unpack this whole thing, what it means for you. We've got this great article from OneMedPro, Navigating Counteroffers in the Indian Healthcare and Medical Job Market.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic, especially with how the job market is right now.
Right. What I think is so fascinating is it's not even just about money. There's this whole strategy thing and psychology involved for the healthcare worker, but also for the employer.
For sure. When an employer is making a counteroffer, they're not just trying to sweeten the pot. It's like they're protecting their investment.
Right.
Did you know, according to SHRM, the cost of replacing a skilled healthcare worker, it can be 6 to 9 months of that employee's salary?
Wow.
Crazy.
That is a big number. So it sounds like financially there's a huge incentive for employers to try and hold on to their current people, even if it means having to counteroffer when they hadn't planned to.
Exactly. Plus, on top of that, you've got the time and the resources to train somebody new. Finding a qualified replacement, okay, that's one thing. But then getting them up to speed, fitting in with the team, that can take months.
And in a field like healthcare, where continuity of care is so important, that disruption can really impact patient outcomes.
Oh, absolutely. And employers know that. They know that. So when they're faced with maybe losing someone valuable, they scramble, they try to find ways to keep them, even if it means kind of playing catch up with a counteroffer.
It almost feels like it takes someone threatening to leave for their real value to be seen. And speaking of value, let's flip this around and think about the healthcare worker who's getting this counteroffer. It must be flattering, especially if it comes with a nice salary increase.
It can be tempting to just grab more money, but you really have to take a step back and think about what's behind this counteroffer. Is your employer really invested in fixing what made you want to leave in the first place?
That's so important. If the deeper issues, like if there's no room to grow or the work environment is toxic, if you feel undervalued, if those things aren't addressed, that money, that might end up feeling like a golden cage.
Yeah. Think of it like this. If it took you quitting to get this kind of attention, what does that say about how they really see you? Are they really invested in you, or are they just trying to plug a hole quickly?
That is a really insightful way to put it. And this is where I think the Indian healthcare market specifically is important. This is an industry that's booming, big-time competition for talented people.
And with that growth comes more need for specialization.
Right.
So if you are a healthcare professional and you want to move up in your career, you have to ask yourself, does this counteroffer help me get there?
Right. It's not just about staying put. It's about picking a path that gets you to your goals. Are you getting the specialized training you need? Are there chances to move up or take on leadership roles?
Exactly. And, IBEF, Deloitte, they've both got these reports, and they highlight this talent shortage, especially in certain specialties. That means you've got leverage. You have the power to choose an employer who will help you grow.
So how do you make sure the counteroffer isn't just a quick fix? Yeah. How do you know if it's a real sign they're committed to your development?
Look for actions, not just words. Make sure anything they promise about raises, promotions, changes to your work, make sure that's all written down officially.
So get it in writing.
Absolutely. A spoken agreement might seem okay at the time, but it's way too easy for things to get, misunderstood or forgotten later on. Having everything written down protects you, and it makes sure everyone is on the same page.
This is really good advice. And I feel like we're just getting started. There's so much more to talk about when it comes to figuring out counteroffers, especially with how dynamic the Indian healthcare market is.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Super important, especially in Indian healthcare. Things move so fast.
Yeah, and I think what really stuck with me was that idea of remembering what you're worth. Especially in a market where, they need people with specific skills. It's easy to forget you have choices when you're just, working every day.
Absolutely. You got to be smart about your career. Even if you're not actively searching for a new job, it's good to every now and then look at what you can do, what experience you have, and think about where you want to be a few years from now.
Like a career checkup, making sure you're on the right track to reach those goals.
Exactly. And if you realize your current job, it's not giving you the growth you need, that's when you start looking at what else is out there. Remember, you have the power to pick a workplace that sees your worth, supports you learning more, and fits with your long-term plan.
And that's where things can get, kind of interesting. Because even if you're happy where you are, suddenly getting a counteroffer can change everything. Makes you rethink what's important and make some tough choices.
It's almost like looking in a mirror at your career. You got to ask those big questions. Am I happy? Am I being challenged? Is the pay fair? And maybe the most important one, am I growing?
Those are not easy questions, especially when someone's dangling a shiny new offer. It's tempting, that salary bump or a fancy new title.
Right, but that's the trick. A counteroffer can seem like a quick solution, like patching things up without really changing anything. But what about a year from now? Are you still going to be content? Have you made progress towards what you want?
Wow, yeah, that's a really good point. It's about playing the long game, not just grabbing a win right now. And I think that's especially crucial in India. Healthcare there, it's changing all the time.
Exactly. Think about it. Medical technology, it's always advancing. Telemedicine is on the rise. There's a bigger focus on specialized care. You don't want to be left behind, stuck in a job that's no longer relevant or challenging.
So how do you make sure you're staying ahead of the curve?
It's all about learning, keeping up with your field, and networking. Go to conferences, read the latest research, connect with people in healthcare. It's also about being proactive. Look for opportunities to grow within your own organization.
And what if those opportunities just aren't there?
Then it might be time to move on. Even if you have to say no to that counteroffer, remember, it's just one piece of the puzzle. It's not the end-all, be-all of your career.
So let's say you do get a counteroffer. What are some red flags? What are some things that might mean this isn't the best for your career long-term?
One big red flag is if the counteroffer is only about money. If your employer is just throwing cash at the problem without fixing those things that made you want to leave in the first place, that's a sign. They might not really be serious about making changes.
So a big raise doesn't automatically mean you're going to be happy or that your career is going to be fulfilling.
Nope, not at all. You got to look past the numbers. Figure out if the counteroffer actually addresses your issues. Does it have a clear path for you to get promoted? Does it give you chances to learn and grow? Does it show they're committed to making the workplace better?
And going back to what we were talking about before, are those promises in writing?
You bet. Vague promises mean nothing. Get it all written down. Any changes to your pay, your title, your responsibilities, even who you report to, all of that needs to be official. This protects you and makes sure everyone is clear.
Okay, so say you get this counteroffer and it looks good. It deals with your concerns, it's all official and written down, and it seems like it helps you reach those long-term goals. Are there other things you should think about before you make a final decision?
Oh yeah, there are a few. Think about your current employer's reputation. Do they usually keep their promises? Or do they have a habit of saying one thing and doing another?
Like doing your research like you would for any new job.
Exactly. Talk to people you trust, maybe reach out to mentors, or even check online. See what other people say about your employer. Do they really help their employees grow?
So gather all the info you can to make a smart choice.
Right. And another thing, think about how this might affect your relationships at work. If you already gave notice, started planning to leave, taking a counteroffer can make things awkward.
Especially if you wanted to leave because of issues with your boss or coworkers.
Exactly. Think about how your choice might change the team dynamic. Can you rebuild trust? Can things move forward in a good way?
These are all really important things to think about. It's not as simple as just saying yes or no to more money.
No, it's not. It's a tough choice, and it can have consequences, good and bad. There's no one right answer. But there are ways to help you navigate it, to make a decision that's good for you and helps you reach your goals.
Speaking of navigating, are there any specific tips, for people who are in this situation trying to decide about a counteroffer?
For sure. First things first, take your time. Don't feel rushed to decide right away. It's totally okay to say, hey, I need a few days to think this over.
Makes sense. You need time to process everything, look at your options, talk to people you trust.
Exactly. And while you're doing that, set up a meeting with your boss. Talk about the counteroffer in detail. Don't just rely on emails or phone calls. Sit down face to face. Ask questions, share your concerns, and see if they're being genuine.
It's about open and honest communication.
Right. And in that meeting, be ready to negotiate. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. Ask for what you deserve. If their first counteroffer isn't quite right, see if you can work something out. Remember, negotiating isn't just about money. Maybe it's about flexible hours, chances to learn and develop your skills, or a clear path for getting promoted. It's about having a job that supports you and helps you grow.
So even if the offer seems great, it's still worth seeing if there's more.
It never hurts to ask. And finally, be ready to walk away. Even after thinking it through, talking it out, if it still doesn't feel right, don't be afraid to decline. Sometimes the toughest choices lead to the best outcomes.
I think that's such a key point. It's your career, your future. You decide what path you want to take. But this brings up something interesting. The Indian healthcare market is unique. How does that affect this whole counteroffer situation?
That's a great question.
We were saying how the Indian healthcare market, it kind of adds another twist to this whole counteroffer thing.
Yeah, because it's not just, a theoretical discussion. We're talking about a real market with real needs and real opportunities.
Exactly. And as we've mentioned, India's healthcare sector, it's growing like crazy, which means they need skilled professionals, especially in specialized fields.
And that need, it changes things, right? It gives healthcare professionals more power when they're negotiating.
Oh yeah, for sure. Employers are much more willing to do what it takes to keep their top people. They know replacing someone, it costs a lot, and it messes up the flow of patient care.
So it's not just about saying yes or no to the counteroffer. It's about using it as a chance to talk about your career, where you want to go in that organization.
Exactly. Are they ready to help you learn and grow? Can they offer you chances to specialize in a field that's in high demand? Those are the questions you need to ask. The OneMedPro article, it had some really interesting stats about the talent shortage in India. I think it said that IBEF, they predict the healthcare market to reach like $372 billion by 2022.
That's right. And with that kind of growth comes a huge need for specialists. We're talking oncology, cardiology, critical care, even like niche areas, geriatric care, palliative medicine.
So if you're a healthcare worker and you've got expertise in one of these areas, you're in a really good spot to negotiate a counteroffer that really helps your career.
You bet. But it's not just about the money, right? It's about finding an employer who sees your worth and wants to help you grow within that specialization. Can they give you the training you need? Do they have a mentorship program? Are there chances to lead research or take on more responsibility?
It's about finding a place where you can succeed financially, but also in your career.
And that's where you got to think long term. Don't let a quick bump in salary distract you if it means giving up on your long-term goals.
It's about seeing yourself 5 years, 10 years down the road. Will you be happy with the choices you make today? Will you have reached your full potential?
And remember, you don't have to just settle. The market in India, it's competitive, yeah. But that also means you have choices. If one employer isn't willing to invest in you, another one will be.
That's really empowering. Healthcare professionals, they're in demand. They have the power to choose a career path that fits their values and goals.
Exactly. So, to wrap up this deep dive, here's something to think about. The decision to accept or reject a counteroffer, it's personal. There's no right or wrong. But if you think carefully about the things we've discussed, your reasons, your goals, what the market's like, the details of the offer, you can make a smart choice, a choice that sets you up for success.
That's great advice. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights. This has been so helpful.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners, thanks for tuning in to the OneMedPro Pulse podcast. We hope this deep dive gave you a new way to think about counteroffers and helped you feel confident about making smart career decisions. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in to OneMedPro Pulse. Let's make this a place where ideas flow, questions spark discussions, and every healthcare professional finds their voice. Thank you so much for joining us today on OneMedPro Pulse. We hope you found this episode insightful and valuable. Remember, this podcast is all about building a community for healthcare professionals, and your input is what keeps it alive and thriving. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to like, follow, and share OneMedPro Pulse with your colleagues and fellow healthcare enthusiasts. Your support helps us reach more professionals like you and continue to create meaningful conversations. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Got a topic or question you'd like us to explore? We'd love to hear from you. Drop us a message on our website or social media. Your suggestions could inspire our next discussion. Until next time, keep making a difference and staying passionate about the incredible work you do. Now, signing off from OneMedPro Pulse. Stay healthy, stay informed, and stay inspired. Goodbye, and see you in the next episode.